I hope we'll quickly move to cutting spending. Obviously, we've joined together to make sure we don't damage the economy by raising taxes right now. Hopefully, we'll join together in the next few months to cut spending and really move us towards a fiscal situation that's sustainable.
Although the front page of the Journal this morning talks about the legacy of all these temporary taxes. They say in the late 90s there were typically fewer than a dozen tax provisions that had a limited lease on life. Now there are 141.
Right.
This is not going to be easy to kill if you're against it in 2 years, is it?
Well, look, I'm against it. I think we need to do away with them. It's a lobbyist delight. Obviously, full employment for lobbyists, keeping these in place. I think we need to do something like the Bowles-Simpson guys suggested, and that is let's move to lowering everybody's taxes. Let's broaden the base. Let's do away with these special business interests. I think that our country would do much better and our economy would do much better.
Senator, what do you make of the argument, however, and we've been talking about it around the table today, that if you're a CEO thinking about making a big investment tomorrow, you may not actually because of the uncertainty created that may come 2 years from now?
Oh, I don't think so. I think it was 100% depreciation that takes place over this next year. I just don't think that's the case. I think that we created certainty. I think when I voted for it, which was a tough vote, this was not a no-brainer. I looked at where the economy was today. I think that's still number one. Again, hopefully before this debt ceiling increase vote takes place either in April, May, or early June, we will come together and do things to lessen spending, and that will create, again, some predictability. So I don't really think, I think what we did yesterday and what we'll do the rest of this week will actually benefit the economy, and then as a group we've got to move towards cutting spending. We have a spending problem in this country. I think everybody knows it. I think that's one of the reasons that interest rates are where they are. They popped up right after this tax deal was announced, and I hope that as a country, again, as people here in Congress, will do what we need to do to cut spending over the next several months.
The 10-year now at 3.3. We just got some PPI numbers a few minutes ago that were well above consensus at 0.8. Do you think we are in the first chapter of a big inflation scare in this country?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, whether it's the fact that people think the economy is improving or whether they think that we cannot get things under control here in Washington as it relates to spending, I don't know. I think we'll know those things down the road, and hopefully what it says is the economy is improving, and hopefully, again, what we'll do in the next few months is cut spending as we need to do.
Senator Corker, when it comes to trying to balance budgets, there's two things that need to happen. One is cutting spending. The other is raising deficits, or raising receipts that come in, tax receipts. And there are people on both sides of the aisle who are deficit hawks, who are concerned about the deals that are getting done right now, including this one that's being voted on in the Senate. They say that this is Christmas time for everybody. This is all sides showing no restraint.
Yeah. Well, look, these special tax breaks that many of you are now focused on actually have been in the code, and they've been one of the most distasteful things about our code. And to me, what we need to do is eliminate those. Most Americans don't realize that we give away in the tax code about $1.2 trillion a year. And what we need to do is eliminate all, if not most of those, and lower everybody's taxes. And I think what you're seeing is a movement towards that end. So again, hopefully, we'll take up something like was just discussed with the Deficit Reduction Commission, where we do that kind of thing. We broaden the base, we get rid of these loopholes, and everybody in our country pays lower taxes. We move corporate rates down to 26%. We move personal rates way down. We get rid of these special deals. They're distasteful.
That whole discussion has just gotten kicked 2 years down the road. This comes the week after we had the Deficit Commission coming out with some very strong ideas that a lot of people were getting behind.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you're going to see people, I'm already talking with folks on both sides of the aisle, I think you're going to see resistance to voting for the debt ceiling increase later this spring without us doing something that is real as it relates to all of these issues you're talking about. I think there's momentum building for that. I'm trying to develop with others a critical mass to make sure we do not raise the debt ceiling without making sure we've cut expenditures and broadened the base in some way. So I don't think we've kicked it down the road.
Senator Austin Goolsbee was on Meet the Press this weekend, and he was worried, he's talking 2012 about trying to raise taxes. And one of the things he was suggesting was that the Republicans have put themselves in a box by suggesting that the need to raise taxes or the need to lower taxes today was about this uncertainty in the market and given where the economy is. What's the argument going to be in 2012, and is there a disconnect there?
Well, all we did was extend existing. I don't fall into the argument that extending tax policy as it is today is cutting taxes. So I'm not going to chase that argument. I do think, as y'all have mentioned already, these special tax breaks that exist are, distasteful, despicable. That was one of the most troubling things about this vote. And look, unfortunately, we have a yes or no vote. You don't get to fill in a paragraph or make changes yourself. So when you look at where we are, I think it was the right thing to do. It was not perfect. But again, I think we'll move towards broadening the base, I hope, tax reform, flattening the tax rates, and I think we're going to move towards cutting spending. And I think, there'll be very few people interested in voting for a debt ceiling increase without that happening. But I cannot, abide by the argument that extending existing tax policy is cutting taxes.
One thing that some other people might find inflationary is the behavior of the Fed. Big meeting today. A lot of talk about Ron Paul and Darrell Issa and more oversight in the next session. Is your view of the Fed gotten more forgiving or less so over the past few months?
Well, look, I heard one of your guests earlier that was a little uninformed saying that I was politicizing the Fed by looking at the single mandate. That is an effort to depoliticize the Fed. The fact is it's Congress that gives the Fed the mandate that it is. And having the employment mandate as part of the dual mandate, that's what politicizes the Fed. That's what causes people to question what it is they're doing right now in QE2. I've said before that I think the Fed would be doing exactly what it's doing today, even with a single mandate. And I think it takes 3 to 5 years look back to see whether the activities they're involved in right now are good or bad. And so, again, I'm not trying to politicize the Fed. I'm trying to depoliticize the Fed. And as far as the decisions they make, I hope the decisions they make are not based on pressure, but based on what they see in data. We're going to be working with folks in the House to try to develop legislation that does focus on price stability. And again, that's an effort to depoliticize the Fed, not politicize it.